Today we get the chance to take a special look and a bit of an overview at a new product from Spektrum. Now this is the DX5C surface radio system. These have just been announced and they're due for release, so they're going to hit stores in February of 2018. We're lucky enough to get our hands on a sample unit here, take a quick look at it, a look through it, and check out some of the cool features on this radio. So this radio is going to be marketed towards, I guess, the beginners and the bashers out there. It still is a full proportional 5-channel radio, so it does have a lot of flexibility, but it is at a price point where it's quite affordable. It's going to have a 20 model memory inside the radio, so you're able to have multiple cars bound up to this one radio, and it has some really neat features. One of those is easily being able to mix 4-wheel steering. So if you guys who use a lot of crawlers want to have one radio across all your cars, as well as being able to mix 4-wheel steering really easily, this is going to be perfect for that. It does run Spektrum's DSMR technology, so it is frequency agile, 2.4 gigahertz. There's going to be no issues with interference, running on the same frequency as someone else, anything like that. Quite easy to turn it on, bind it to your receiver just the once, first time you power on, and then you're good to go from there. It will be offered in 2 options, one with an SR415, which is a 4-channel receiver from Spektrum. Also, it will be offered with an SRS6000, which is AVC capable, which is another nice feature on this. AVC is active vehicle control. It's essentially a gyroscope in the receiver, which is going to allow a car that is, say, high performance, an off-road car that is maybe a little bit difficult to drive, use your AVC, set that up within your radio, and obviously having the receiver in the car, it's going to make it a lot easier to drive. It's going to allow you to have essentially a traction assist on your steering. So when you pull full throttle, the car's going to want to pull itself straight. Makes it nice and fun, especially when you're driving, again, high-powered vehicles on loose surfaces. Really easy to drive and gives you a lot of confidence when driving. Now that we have the radio switched on, we're just going to run through a few of the menus and a couple of the neat features on this unit that you guys may be interested in. So here at the main menu we have the outputs for all 5 of our channels, our steering, our throttle, obviously our battery life. We can name our model and we can set a timer up as well here. So a fair bit of information going on the front screen. We flick over down on the scroll wheel to our monitor, and that'll give us the proportional input of our controls at the moment. So we can see the throttle slider moving when I move the trigger in the forward or brake direction. If we jump straight into the menu, you can see we have a model select screen. This will take a full 20 model memory. So you would just add a new model and set that up as you need. We're able to name the model. Obviously we have the standard features that everyone's going to need to use, like servo travel. We have that across auxiliaries as well as the steering and throttle in both directions, so you can adjust that in 1% increments. We have our sub trim, which is used for trimming the servos to a neutral position when you install your servo horn. So instead of trimming with the trim buttons on the side, which is in a higher movement, a higher step, so one click on the trim button here would be more than one click of sub trim. But you can use our sub trim to align the servos in at perfect right angles when we're setting our linkages up, and then we don't have to use our trim switches as much. Maybe a click or 2 here or there, but that's all you're going to need. So radio has sub trim. Obviously we've got servo reversing. We also have the ability to adjust servo speed down from 100%. So if you need to slow down your servo at all, you can go ahead and do that, and the menu is nice and easy. We also have rates. So ability to adjust our rates. We can have an on-the-fly button set up to change them whilst we're using the radio. So some really neat features in here. Obviously exponential, our timer setup, which is nice for battery runtime. We also have a binding and frame rate screen. Another neat, interesting feature of this is we have the ability to bind at 3 different frame rates. So the lower the number, so we've got 22 milliseconds selected here. The lower we go is the lower the latency. So essentially it's the packet time, how long it takes for the signal to get from the transmitter and to your servo, essentially, for your wheels to move. So the lower the latency, the faster response you're going to have. So depending on whether you have analog or digital servos and your requirement with the radio and with the receiver would be which frame rate you select to go ahead and use. But you go ahead and select your frame rate, and then you go ahead and bind the receiver. So nice feature in there. Also, what I was speaking about earlier is the mixing. So our 4-wheel steering mixing is nice and easy to do. And then also our AVC setup. So we can activate this. It's inhibited currently because we're not bound to a receiver. But we can activate that, and with an AVC capable receiver, we can set up AVC parameters within the radio, which is nice. Probably one of the last features we'll go across is auxiliary assign. So what we can do here is we can assign any of our auxiliary channels to any switch, essentially. So on our receiver, we're going to have auxiliary ports to plug servos in, which are going to carry out features like on a rock roller, for example, you may have dual steering, you may have a gear change servo, mechanical gear change servo. So you can assign that to whichever switch you like and whichever one suits your preference better. Well, it's nice and easy to get that done and assign our auxiliary channels to a switch function from our menu here. And that's probably about all the features we need to go through for this radio. You can see there's quite an extensive range of things that you can do with this, and at the affordable price point of the DX5C, it's really going to suit a lot of modelers. Thanks for joining us today, guys, for a look at Spektrum's brand new DX5C. It's a fantastic radio. It's really going to hit the mark for a lot of modelers out there with a really affordable price point. It should be fantastic for many users. If this product interests you and you're looking at a new radio, please take a look at, click the link up here to take a look at the video we did on the DX5R, which is probably a little bit more of a race-orientated setup, a bit more ergonomic adjustment, but many of the same great features that the DX5C has. Thanks for joining us again, guys. I'm Andrew from Modelflight.